Hey, everyone. Hey, Mike Michalowicz is on the show today. He says, if you don't get noticed, you don't get business. We're here to talk about how do you outmarket the competition. In fact, something he calls your responsibility is to outmarket the competition. I can't wait to ask him these questions. We have got the author of Profit First, The Pumpkin Plan, Clockwork, Fix This Next, and his new book coming out. We're going to tell you all about it. Stay with us. We've got Mike Michalowicz on the show.
This is the Not Your Average Joe Show, where each week we bring you sales, marketing, and mindset strategies you need to get to your next level. And now, here's your host, international business mentor, Joe Soto.
Like doing the drums with it. It's awesome. That's a good intro, man.
I just got to get you pumped up, ready to go, Mike.
I'm pumped.
Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. I have a bunch of questions for you. First of all, I want to give an extended background. So Mike, for those of you who don't know, and I put a little bio in the show notes and the bio in the thing. This guy started a couple companies that became multi-million-dollar companies. He built and sold them. Then he lost his fortune. Then he went on a mission to fix what's wrong in business on multiple levels. He's written all these different books. I've got 3 of them to my side here. Fix This Next was one of your latest books. My gosh, You just wrote that book, it feels like. Profit First, I recommend to all my students. The Surge, you wrote The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, which is that's like a cult classic.
A little weird, a little funky.
Yeah, a little weird, a little funky. That's okay. And the new book, which is called what, Mike?
Get Different. I don't even have like a real copy. I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what the cover it looks like, but you can see it kind of pasted on some other book because I don't even have the real book yet. With this COVID pandemic, the printing and stuff is all messed up.
Well, people can go get it at gogetdifferent.com. At the time they're recording, it's still a pre-order. It's coming out September 21st.
Yeah, it's in stock at Amazon, ready to ship. It's everywhere. Just my publisher said we can't get extra copies for the author. I'm like, okay. We'll roll with it.
How dare them treat you better than everybody else. Hey, that's awesome. Congratulations on the new book. This is one of my favorite topics, which is marketing. You're going all in on marketing.
Me too.
And you're really out to fix marketing, in my opinion.
Totally. So here's what I found interesting, Joe. Traveling pre-COVID, but even today, traveling and doing virtual presentations, I asked people, what is your primary source of marketing? And the people I speak to are small business. These are companies that do, the big ones do a couple million, but most of my readers are sub $1 million businesses. And consistently they say, I don't market. Word of mouth. My clients refer me to opportunities, in the chest pounding. And my response to that is, that's wonderful. That's an acknowledgement that your clients see value in what you're doing. Yeah. But that is a real dangerous way to market. If I'm dependent upon my customer to market me, it means I'm at the whim of my customer. What if they say, we're done marketing, or we don't like you as a business anymore? Now they're anti-marketing. So what we need is some way to throttle it, some way that we can control lead flow. And that's why I wrote this book, is how do we take charge of our marketing? How do we do it in the most simple and effective way? And how do we, if we offer something that's better than our competition, how do we stand out? Because we have to get noticed. We're better.
Yeah, but how do you get people to say you're better, or the best, or the greatest without you having to say it? How do we attract it? You talk in the book about attracting attention. I have something I've been saying for a long time, which is I think attracting and earning attention trumps paid for attention. And your book deep dives into both the attention and engagement piece of this. How do we attract attention and earn it over and over, as you say?
Correct. And not pay for it. It's funny. We look in the traditional marketing vantage point, we look at like the Super Bowl ads and say, oh, that's the marquee of marketing. You've arrived when you've Clydesdales clapping around and snow coming down. Right. And I don't know. Those companies have massive budgets and they spend a lot of money to produce those things. But what's the conversion rate? What's the engagement rate? We as small businesses, we don't have that budget. So we need to do something that is so compelling that invites the audience to choose us and to engage with us fully.
Yeah.
The thing is, better is really hard to notice though. So some people say, well, I provide better services. And you know, if we're in competing industries, Joe, and you answer the phone in one ring for customer service, and I answer in two rings, you're better. Will the customer notice? Probably not. It's something that's remarkable, meaning worthy of remark and comment, that gets noticed. I'll give you the best example of what they call performance marketing. It's a form of marketing where in the delivery itself, there's an intentional pursuit of new opportunity. I owned a computer networking business. I was a computer guy. And I had all the certifications and credentials to prove I was better than most of my contemporaries. But one day, among all of my competitors, one stepped in and kicked everyone's ass all the way to Sunday. And it was Geek Squad.
Oh, yeah.
Geek Squad simply went into performance marketing. They said, oh, we don't have better credentials. We don't have better service, but you know what? We're willing to put on flood pants and tape around our glasses for all of our technicians. And that's what they did. Robert Stevens, he was the founder of that company, got acquired almost overnight by Best Buy. Collectively now it's $1 billion, that's with a B, $1 billion valuation, because they weren't better, they marketed better.
You know, and here's a side story for you. I met Robert Stevens back in like 2011, 12, during that time when I think he just finished up his extension with Best Buy as part of that agreement.
Yeah.
But he handed us his business card, and I was there for a business roundtable with the great Harvey McKay, and a bunch of our peers were there. And Robert Stevens spoke to our group, and he hands us his business card, and all it had was, at the time, I can't remember, this is 2011, I think it was.
Yeah.
Was just his Twitter handle. That's it. It was genius. It was just his Twitter handle. And a couple of people were like, well, I don't have Twitter. And he looked at them and said, well, then you'll never get a hold of me.
Here's what's so smart about that's new to me, that story. Yeah. Here's what's so smart about it. It's a singular direct. When I was writing Go Get Different, I framed out this thing called DAD. It's an acronym for how to market. First, we must differentiate. You have to do something that jogs the attention. Oh, there it is. You got the data framework. It jogs the attention.
Everybody else can get it too if they go to
GoGetDifferent.com.
Go Get Different.
GoGetDifferent.com. But what it does is it causes the prospect to pay attention when there's an unexpected thing. It must be attractive. We talked about that. It must be something that speaks to them. But the last element is you have to give a direction. The key about direction or direct is it must be specific, singular, and reasonable. Well, I like what he did there is he's saying, here's the one way to get hold of me. He didn't say, here's my number, here's my mailing address, which actually causes confusion. If I want to contact him, what's best? Should I email? He's not responding to email. He's telling you, this is the one and only way. It's a very smart strategy. And we all need to be that courageous to say, here's the one way, the best way. Yeah,
brilliant. Love it. Okay, so you hit on it, and it's one of my questions, and you talk about this DAD framework. Now, obviously, they can go to GoGetDifferent.com, and they don't know this, but if you're listening to this, you're listening to the podcast, you can go to that site, get the book, but also get the resources. He gives you the resources without forcing you to buy the book, which is different. A lot of people are doing book marketing today, Mike, and they don't give you anything unless you buy that book and prove it first.
Oh, right. Give me your receipt.
Yeah. I love that. You're like, no, here's my resources, and I'm going to give you my frameworks, but I know the book will do what's necessary to teach people how to use these frameworks, but you can go get the frameworks, some of them anyway, on that site. So I'd go there and then get the book so you know how to use these frameworks. But give us your overview of the DAD.
Framework. So what I try to do, Joe, was in my work, whenever prop first and so forth, I look at the essence of what we're trying to achieve, and then what's the simplest way to get mostly there.
Yeah.
And with Get Different, we want to get more exposure. We want control over it. So I said, well, what are the steps that really get us there? And identify three things. This is probably the deepest research I've ever done in how our brain processes information, behavioral processing. The first element, D, stands for differentiate. And here's what's fascinating about the human brain. The human brain is designed to actually ignore. It's optimized around ignoring things. Right now, around you, around me, there's thousands of stimuli. I got a pair of glasses here. I got a pencil. I got a mug. All these things, if I drew attention to them and pay attention to them, I could be immersed in this for days. Why is it black? Who invented the word black? Why does it hold stuff? Why does it get cold? Oh, it's going forever. So our mind is designed to consciously or subconsciously just push that stuff out. But it allows three things through every time. Threat, if harm's coming our way, we'll pay attention. Opportunity, something else, service, and the unexpected. something that's unexpected or we're not familiar with, we have to evaluate. That new bug you've never seen before. It's like, oh, is that going to sting me, or is this going to turn into a beautiful butterfly? So our mind evaluates it. And that's how our marketing can act. When we present something unexpected, the mind is required to it, but it's wired and required to pay attention to it. So I guarantee you will always get attention every single time if you do different. But one challenge, you get attention for about 1/10 of a second. Actually, we can blink faster. I mean, we can process information faster than we can blink, just to give context. So then we have to move on to the second part of the framework, which is A. A stands for attract. Whatever we're doing has to speak to the consumer's interest. Is it serve a need they have? Does it fulfill a desire they have? Or is it just invoke curiosity? Or is it entertaining? There has to be a reason to stay engaged. So quickly, you got to get to why should I pay any attention to you? And then the last element, we want to move there quickly and efficiently too, is D for direct. So differentiate, attract, direct. Direct is where we give specific and reasonable action on what to take. You come to you want to buy a car, my website says, give me a $100,000 deposit to buy a car. That's not reasonable. Forget it. But if my website says, please give us your cell number so I can text you pictures of our inventory that may match your needs, that may be a reasonable exchange. And now we're moving closer to the transaction. Always use the DAD framework. And you can look at your competition's marketing. You can look at your own marketing. If any one of those elements is missing, the marketing is going to struggle to have the greatest effect, or it may have no effect.
It's a great way to model and unpack great marketing from companies that you admire and you can see or feel or get a sense that they're great marketing. It's also a great way to see what's missing in your own.
That's exactly right. And, so it's funny that we were talking about Super Bowl ads, that, we laud these Super Bowl ads. You got Clydesdale, you got snow coming down. It's beautiful. It's different in that it's fresh and new. That's probably the first time you've seen that commercial. There's anticipation built around it. People are like, what are the commercials going to be like this year? Which is an attractor factor. So it invokes curiosity. We pay attention to it. What's shocking to me is Budweiser at the end of the commercial doesn't say, text in your email so we can send you a coupon for a 6-pack. They could literally land hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of new prospects and be engaged in a conversation with them if they simply did that. So these techniques, even the big companies are blinded to, and sometimes more money in a situation blinds business.
Yeah.
In fact, this is just a word of warning. I found the biggest marketing lie that exists is this. If whatever marketing you're doing is not working, you're simply not doing enough of it. Those Facebook ads you're running, you're not getting the yield you want. You got to do more Facebook ads.
Love it.
Or you got to run more ads in the paper or whatever. That's a lie. If it's not working, it's usually a fracture in the DAD framework.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. And so one of the things that I really appreciate, and this is a common theme kind of in all your books, which is this self-responsibility. You're constantly saying it's your fault, fix it. And the theme in this book is, if you want to out market the competition, it's really your responsibility to, it's your obligation to.
Yeah.
And if it's not working, it's your fault. Now, what do you say to the business owners who say, but my expertise, I don't know marketing.
Yeah. Well,
they just use that as an excuse and say, so what do you say to them?
Yeah. So you'll discover, let me first talk about the responsibility, because here's the biggest impedance in why people say, I don't know marketing. It's not that they don't know marketing. I mean, you found a relationship, or you married, did you date someone? That's the ultimate marketing. You told someone to take this. Look at this redneck face I got. Like, someone took this. Like, are they kidding me? But I marketed pretty well. So we all have that capability. Yeah. So what we need to do is first realize responsibility. If what you offer is superior to your competition, not necessarily in all facets, but do you respond faster? Do you care more? Are you more engaged? Maybe you are better in all facets. You then have a responsibility for customers to discover that. Because if they buy the alternative, they're experiencing something lesser. It's their problem, but it's our fault. So if you're better, the ultimate act of kindness is marketing. So we got to overcome that fear and step into it. You'll find marketing. And in the book, I teach about marketing experiments, really small tests. But you first have to own the responsibility. And once you do that, the rest starts to fall in the line behind it.
You have a chapter on that touches on and expands upon actually measuring your marketing and really watching the metrics and how do people measure what's working? Because sometimes it's hard to know how to recognize great marketing or what the return is. Like, I see it looks like it's probably good marketing. I don't know what kind of return they got, but that seemed brilliant. In your own case, though, what can give you confidence that you might be able to measure it?
Yeah. So if you see brilliant marketing out there and maybe someone's not doing your space, definitely do some R&D, rip off and duplicate, and take it internally.
Love it.
and then key it. This is a term that direct marketers use. A key is an insertion of an action that specifies or points back to that marketing source. Here's an example. I send out a mailer, and I send it to you, and the opening headline on this mail piece says, buy our product for 50% off. I do another mailer that says, buy one, get one free. And I want to now put a key in both. So the first one says, 50% off, call this number extension 1. The other one would say call extension 2. Now I can measure what extension is ringing more. So it's a very simplified key, but you can do this in any format. If you ever listen to like a radio ad, it's like, hey, tell them Joe sent you. That's a key. When people call it, oh, you referred by Joe, that's going into the Joe advertising column. Yeah. So we can key any of the marketing that we have, and we need to, because that's the only way you can measure its effectiveness.
Love it. Okay. Tell me, with all the, and I use the word, with all the charlatans out there teaching bad marketing, we're overwhelmed right now with people, small businesses getting inundated with online courses, programs. Everyone's become a trainer and a teacher of marketing. Yeah. And many of which, I won't say all, many of which have never really built anything or marketed anything for themselves prior to ever training and teaching it. And it's just, I'm just calling it out because that's the truth. I was involved in a program, and we that program ended up doing over 40 million in sales. And sadly, some of the people in that program that were even involved in maybe teaching it did not have really the experience to be doing so. And we're leading, it's the blind leading the blind. And I think that's happening today rampantly.
Yeah.
How do people decipher the difference, and how do we fix that?
Yeah. So now to the consumer side,
your book is maybe a first step in that.
What was that again?
Your book is probably the first step.
Maybe the first step. Yeah. So first of all, the consumer side. If you're on the consumer side and you're getting this marketing message, validate it. It blows me away that I'll get an email from a Gmail account saying, "Hey, we can get you 50% off of your inventory." So like. This isn't even like there's no website to validate. There's no validation source. So if there's no way to prove it, that's a problem. So in the book, I talk about ways that are how to bring about attraction. One of the things is authority, and authority is anchored to proof. If like LeBron James walks in and says, "Hey, I can teach you some stuff on basketball," I'd be like, "Oh, you have the authority. I've seen you in games. There's all these resources that validate it." If Yucko the clown walks in and says, "I can teach you basketball," there's no authority behind that. There's no proof. So our marketing has to have that. And those are attractor factors. I identified, I think it was about 12 different attractor factors. One's authority. Another one I think it's hard to remember at the moment, but curiosity. Yeah. Another one is simply social proof, meaning you've proof of testimonials and stuff like that. If you're going to be marketing your business, make sure you back it with that. And if you have no experience, that doesn't mean you can't market. Some people are like, "But I haven't done 100 instances of this. How can I market?" You simply tell people, "I haven't done 100 instances." You say, "You know what? This is my first time." You're an alpha client. Everyone does betas. I'm at the alpha level. This is brand new to me. But here's the deal. If you're willing to give me feedback as we move along, I'll offer you a discount, or maybe even do it for free if you're willing to give me feedback and at the end be a testimonial, because no one wants to be the first client. Honesty and integrity, this is a shocker, wins out.
That's a great, how do I get my first client strategy? And you just said it. I mean, that was it. People can rewind this and watch that. For those watching who may go, "I'm just entering in the consulting or coaching profession, or I'm just starting my own agency, or I'm just starting out in business, I don't have my first client." That was brilliant insight.
Because marketing, is the number one thing you need to do. And many businesses are starting up, myself included. I was like, okay, I gotta get my first client. No, I gotta get my marketing going. And the best piece of marketing is to have the proof that you've already done it for someone else. So that first one is a marquee client. What I suggest is actually go after a big name, because that brings more authority. Go after a big name and say, "Listen, I'm willing to do X for free. Honestly, I'm going to use your name as a marketing piece. Are you cool with this exchange?" And when I have a new prospect, I'm going to say, "Call Joe," and Joe will give you the honest feedback. Are you willing to be honest in your review of me. If you're willing to do those two things, you're getting free services. That is perhaps the best deal you'll ever get. I know you're giving your service away for free. The marketing gain could be massive.
Yeah. And your intonation and your posturing while you say that is as important as anything else. You're not coming across with a lack of confidence. You're coming across with, I'm new, but here's the deal, how we can help each other.
That's exactly right.
I love the way you just framed that. What's your take on, I'm asking because I don't know, what your take on is on this whole thing of omnipresence? We should be everywhere that a customer might be able to find us and see us. What's your perspective or insight on that?
I think that's omni-dumb, because you're diluting yourself. I think
have that prepared a banner. Omni-dumb.
Yeah, omni-dumb. Omnipresence. Here's why I'm hearing it, to make sure that I'm not responding like an idiot, but I could be, is I'm trying to sell everyone, which forms dilution. Yeah. What I believe is we have to pick the community we're going after, and then speak to them exclusively and cater to them exclusively. And what happens is two things. First of all, the marketing message to them, they think you're everywhere because you're marketing to them constantly. The second thing, though, is you start to learn to speak their language. As an example, my first company that was doing computer systems, and Robert Stevens kicked my ass, I did dominate one space. Instead of being omnipresent, that's the way I thought I should start the business and market everywhere. I found that hedge funds were my best community. So I started to only market to hedge funds only at the events they were at. And it was within a short period, like 12 months, hedge funds started coming to me saying, gosh, your brand is everywhere. Your company's everywhere. You must be good. So that perception to them of being everywhere is a big deal. The effort to be everywhere is impossible. And that's why I consider that omni-dumb.
Yeah. Excellent. Awesome. All right. So how can people get your book again? Let's remind them.
You can go to gogetdifferent.com. And
we don't have time to get into it, but you have your whole Get Different marketing process.
Oh, the whole process. Yeah. It's a flow chart.
Yeah. It's on there. And the book deep dives into each piece of this.
Exactly.
Go get the book. You won't, I've read, I think, all but one of your books. And I've been recommending your books since like 2016. So
thank you.
You've been writing a lot since then. You've written them all like since then. It seems like boom. You became the author guy quick.
Yeah.
But sharing your brilliant insight from somebody who's been in the trenches, who's done it, and also been evaluating companies who have done it and also failed. Thank you so much for your time today. And thanks so much for writing the books that you write and making the difference that you're making in the world. You're helping my audience and audiences worldwide get different in their business. And we appreciate you, man.
That means the world to me, Joe. Thank you for those nice words.
All right. Well, everybody, next week, join us. And if you haven't got the book yet, go to gogetdifferent.com today. Say goodbye to Mike.
Tune in next week for the Not Your Average Joe Show with international business mentor Joe Soto.